Hello, MavMind Collective, and welcome to another episode of the Hypnosales Show. And today we're going to talk about how to keep someone talking. So if you're in a customer-facing role like me, I've been in customer-facing roles for many years, either as a PS or an SE, or I've been post-sales support, customer success, and I've been in sales, and I've worked with sales reps, over 55 or 60 different sales reps in my career as their SE, learning the process of sales and mentoring these sales, different hundreds of salespeople on sales techniques, and usually incorporating things that have a little bit of a hypnosis bent to it, because I'm a hypnotist. So I learned a long time ago to combine hypnosis with sales, and that's why I call this Hypnosales Show, because it's combining those two things. And I've learned how to get people talking and keep them talking, especially in the beginning when you're trying to discover their expectations and their motivations, which I've talked about in other videos. That's the key you want to do. What are their expectations? What are they motivated? What's their reasoning? And as well as their use case, what's their pain, what's their budget, all those other band type questions. But you also want to know how they're modeling reality, all the things that are going to help you to usher them through the perfect customer experience and hopefully make a decision to buy your product or service. And then when they buy it, they implement it in a very seamless fashion so they have a great experience and they love working with you, and they continue then to refer you to other people, and they continue to buy from you over and over, and their lifetime value goes way up. So keeping them talking is pretty key. So when you're discovering, let's say in the beginning, you're trying to discover all these things, sometimes they're the ones asking you the question. You do a discovery call, but they end up asking you questions, and then they get you talking, and then you're answering and talking, and then you kind of see that as, well, that was a successful discovery because we had an even exchange. But the reality is you need to keep them talking at least 2/3 of the time. 2/3 of the time. If you want to consider it to be a successful discovery call, you need them talking most of the time, 2/3. I try to go more for like 3/4 of the time, because what I found with that is the more I can keep them talking, typically I can figure out, based on their motivations and expectations, I can determine very quickly if we might be able to accelerate the whole sales cycle and skip a bunch of steps and move towards the end, because they reveal a lot more detail about their motivation, expectations, and what they really want and why they want it, right? That's the motivation. Like, why do you want these things? Because oftentimes in the discovery, we're not asking a why yet. We're assuming the why. We're assuming we know what their motivation is. But the reality is those assumptions end up getting you in trouble later on. So I like to always keep them talking the most up front. I do most of the talking near the beginning, and maybe when I pepper a question, and then at the end when I'm wrapping up. But most of the time I keep them talking. So how do I do that? What's the key phrase? Well, it comes from the subconscious. So, and I'll reveal it here in a second. Well, actually, I'll just reveal it now. I want to. You want to see what's underneath here, right? Okay, so here's the key phrase. Let me lift up the tape. It's help me understand. Help me understand. Now, some of you are like, oh, I use that all the time. Yeah, okay. Some of you don't, though. Some of you don't. The reason why this works, we're going to dissect this, because at a subconscious level, this is one of the most powerful things you can ask during a discovery question, at least the beginning phrase, help me understand, and then something that you want to understand. Condition them to you asking this question, all right? So the first part is help. Help. So why is that important? Why is that subconscious? Well, because at a subconscious level, we are unable to avoid helping someone who asks for it. So think about it. If you're walking down the street or taking a walk or driving, and someone was waiting, the car was broke down and they're waving, they're like, help, help, help. You're very compelled to pull over. Or if you're walking in the mall or the street or something in a store, and someone says, could you help me get this off that thing I want to look at on the top rack because I'm too short. Could you reach that for me? Or on the plane, can you get the luggage? Can you help me with my luggage or something like that? As soon as I say the word help, you're like instantly there. You're like, yeah, sure. You don't even question it, because subconsciously, primitively, in our deep lizard brain subconscious, we're always conditioned to help somebody if they ask for it. So I always want to start with help. So that's why I always say, help me. Now here's the other thing. Me is also key too, subconsciously, because in a meeting, especially if you have a meeting with a client, prospect, or customer, that there's more than one of you on your side. Like, how many meetings do you have? Think about it. How many meetings do you have with your clients where it's not just you on the call from your company? You're the vendor, they're the customer, client, prospect, whatever, and you have 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 people on with you. Could be. You have at least 1 or 2 other people on there with you, typically, when you're engaging with your client, prospect, or customer. And so the assumption that they're making subconsciously is that, you know, everyone is understanding, everyone is getting what we're asking, what the communication is, everyone gets it. But when you say help me instead of help us or tell us about, you say help me, you're then you're signaling yourself out, and you're signaling to their subconscious that you know, I'm not included yet. You're not including me yet. Others may get it, but I don't. So I need some help. So help me not to feel secluded, excluded from the conversation, from what you're talking about. And that invokes that little subconscious part to go, ooh, I don't want to be responsible for anyone being excluded. So then they say, ooh, and then help, I got to help. So I got to help you not to be excluded. So help me right there already. That phrase is invoking them to then start talking to you and opening up and sharing a lot more than maybe what they were planning to share. They're sharing a lot more things that now you can pick up and you can kind of figure out that you normally wouldn't get in that first meeting or that second meeting when you're discovering. So help me already is evoking that. And then understand that's invoking the other part of their subconscious, which they want to be understood by you. They cannot afford for you not to understand them. That's why they're engaging with you. That's why they need your help to understand them, understand their use case, understand their reasoning, understand their expectations. They're assuming you already understand this stuff. That's why I was saying in the previous videos, like the assumptions are what end up making everything go sideways, or they end up going with somebody else, because the expectation of your understanding is one thing and it's not. It's something else. So you have to always be asking them for their motivation and expectations, and you also let them know that you don't understand everything yet about them, understand what they're saying. So then they have to explain it. They won't let that pass. Subconsciously, they cannot let that just go on and go, well, I don't care if you don't understand. No, they need you to understand, because they might spend money with you. They might have already spent money with you. They might already have skin in the game. So they're definitely going to help you understand if you ask them to help you understand. So that's why this is really a key phrase, and you can get them talking 3/4 of the time, and they will, at the end, when they're done, they'll be like, wow, this was a great meeting. They'll think it's a great meeting because you listened to them. You didn't talk. You didn't just answer questions. You listened to them, and you gave them an opportunity to help you specifically, out of all the people on the call, help you understand. And then you can reward them and say, thank you for helping me understand. Thanks for sharing that. That's really, and reward them for it, because you want to condition them to always be sharing, always be talking every meeting, so you don't miss any assumptions. You don't miss anything. You don't assume the wrong thing that you might have missed in a previous meeting, because you're always going to be discovering every meeting. You're always going to be trying to reset expectations every meeting. So therefore, you always need to keep them talking, and they need to always know that they need to help you specifically understand where they're coming from every meeting. And that will guarantee a great, consistent process all the way through, and a great engagement. They will become loyal. They'll never churn. They'll always want to work with you, and they'll always want to recommend your service or product to someone else because of this phrase right here. Speaking of recommendations, I would recommend that you share this video with someone else that you think could use this phrase to help them in their customer-facing engagements. And I look forward to seeing you on the next MavMind hypnosales show. Until then, my name is Maverick Garner, and I will see you all later. Time to scroll on by to the next video. See ya.